Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the General Purposes Committee meeting to order. May I have a motion on the minutes? Moved and seconded. All those in favor, post carried. Then we have the Stevenson Island Dike preliminary design. Eric Sparlin or John, do you have anything to add to your very interesting report?
Your Worship, nothing to add. Available to answer questions.
Make a recommendation.
Moved and seconded. It certainly shows the challenge that we've got in front of us. And as big a challenge as that one is, the Stevenson Island dike. And that's only a small part of the whole thing. So anyway, we've got Councillor Wolf. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple of requests, perhaps. Could we receive more, maybe attachments or some of the things that were referred to as like historic plan for this? Like, if we could just maybe get an electronic memo or copy of what was decided previously. And
Are you talking about previous minutes or previous plans?
previous
or what?
plans. Like I would
All right.
think
Could
there'd be
you
some
could you
city
supply
documents.
Councillor Wolf with previous reports, please?
Your Worship, yes.
Yeah, because I know Councillor Steves used to talk about them, and they're not accessible. A second question, or a second point I wanted to make was the looking, I guess, at the map on 11. The I guess what is the name of this part? It's the flood wall that would be along part of the existing breakwater west of Stevenson Island. Is it pretty much a line? Like, I'm just trying to think of how much we actually have to bring in for fill, but does that potential west end of the dike or flood wall, does it align with what's already there today?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Wolf, yes, it currently aligns about the same.
Okay. Great. So then that would make the flood wall that would connect to Gary Point, that's non-existent completely as of today.
Through Your Worship to Councillor Wolf, yes, there would be new sections of wall because the existing wall doesn't extend that far west.
Okay, I'm trying to see like where the biggest impact of this will lie, and to know that the environmental assessment's coming up and all the other components, where will the biggest impact be? And I think it is that flood wall construction. And then I wanted to comment on the habitat enhancement at this early stage. Like, I think the location where it's being planned on the east side makes sense. If you look at the map on our GP 14, at the bottom, the second image there, all of that doesn't exist now. That's basically just a mud flat that goes out there. There's no marsh habitat and there's no trees. Those are all artist's rendition in that picture, right?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Wolf, yes, that would be new habitat.
Great, and yeah, I appreciate that it's connected to the fish habitat bank that we're expecting to come online sometime while this project continues on. I also just wanted to highlight, I think, two more points. One is, I know I don't need to get into the detail because it'll be in the future phases of this, but the potential there for pedestrian cyclist friendly loop is quite inviting. Everyone who I've talked to about this project, that's one of the things they want to do, is be able to go out and around. And so, yeah, I don't know how that would work with the current west gate, because that's quite a large opening that will need to be open for boats, and to think of something that would go up and over, you'd have to go up pretty high for some of the boats. So it'd have to be something that's movable as well. Great, and I also appreciate list of stakeholder engagement here. I'd like to recommend one more. Committee just received today correspondence from David Hancock of Hancock Wildlife Foundation. We just got this memo today here. And on there it mentions that there's 4 bald eagle nests currently on Stevenson Island, Shady Island. I was there 2 days ago. I've walked across Shady Island in a few different points, and I observed the eagle nests. I didn't find all 4, but found 3 of them. And I also wanted to just point out that in the report where it lists opportunities and considerations And it has a whole bunch of challenges that I think we're going to face with whatever dike project we go forward with. I think another challenge is climate change, and the report just published today from UN paints a pretty dark picture, and I think we need to get started on this and go an accelerated speed too to provide the dike raising or the protection for our land, our assets, our residents. So yeah, I'm in support of this going forward and look forward to so I don't know if that was just a friendly add-on there, but could we add David Hancock as
What? Add to what?
to the list of stakeholders that was on page 17? Would that be acceptable?
Through your worship, yeah, if directed, we can add additional stakeholders for engagement.
Well, was that a consultation with him, or he just wrote in, right?
Through your worship, I believe he wrote in to mayor and council.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
so
he's an organization. I think he could be listed in amongst these other ones as.
Whatever. Okay, Councillor Day.
Thank you. Well, we've been talking about this for a long time. Can you refresh my memory? When was Stevenson Island actually created? Because it's man-made, correct?
Through your worship, council, yes, it is man-made. I don't have the details, but it's been around for quite some time,
Okay.
changing in shape over the years.
Yeah. How has Stevenson Island affected the harbor in terms of sediment buildup?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, there have been various different things from rock walls to booms that create different, different regimes for sedimentation through this project, and we can also monitor that activity as well.
Okay. Yeah, so my concern is, and if we look at the, these are great conceptual drawings, by the way. They're really easy to understand. If we look at page 13, it shows how this would be extended. And so basically, Stevenson Island would have the riprap going all the way out past, I guess, almost to Gary Point. My worry and concern is that if we don't have water rushing through the channel, then there's going to be even more silty sand built up. And dredging is a major issue in the harbor. So through the consultation process, will you be able to, like, is there going to be a model created where we can see what the scenario would be?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, so yes, we do have experts that can look at those levels in detail. Through the various parts of where we get into detail design, we could explore those ones further.
Okay, yeah, because when I look at the picture on GP 14, and it shows this little wee gate and then the big marshland, and you know, I'm certainly no geotechnical expert, but it would seem to me that you'd almost want to create a waterway that would allow water, because as you know, if water goes through a large area, it moves slowly, but when you push it into a small area, it moves really, really fast. That could be a benefit for the sand buildup. And so I would really want to have a lot more information from the experts about that, because we don't want to make it worse than it already is in the harbor. So more to come, I'm assuming. The other one is the channel is home to migrating salmon and is a staging area for smelt. Have we done any investigation as to how that would affect that?
Through your worship to Councillor Day, so again, more in the detail design, again, we can look at the specifics of, again, which species would be looked at in further detail.
Okay, so again, more to come on that. And then just the kind of material, I suppose that comes in later as well. I think it's great that you're reaching out to stakeholders, because I think everyone's got a piece of the pie. And if we put all those, smart heads together, we can make some really great decisions. So yeah, I support moving forward and see where this takes us. It's exciting.
Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, I'll just be very quick, a couple of quick things. On our page GP 11, we talk about this may be an alternative to raising the existing dike. Are we going to do anything along the way in terms of the diking from London Farm down to Gary Point?
Yeah, through your worship to Councillor McNulty, yes, we would do some additional work on the inside dike. However, again, that we would typically do that through redevelopment, so that would take a longer time.
Okay, thank you on that one. I noticed, and I was very pleased to see it actually, this is a great report, so thank you for it. The Musqueam Archaeology Department had no problems. Did we get that in writing?
Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, yes, we have a report that said there's no archaeological sites or archaeological potential identified during their surveys.
Excellent. I agree with some of the other concerns, and so they've been answered for me, so Evan. How will this affect dredging the existing dike, or the existing harbor, to make it navigable for boats and what have you? Because as we know, coming in on the north side of the island, silt does come down, and we've got a problem. We're working with the Harbor Authority, and I was thinking about the buildup at the east end. Obviously, if the gate is closed and what have you, that silt is not going to come down and flood the harbor, and eventually, hopefully, we'll dredge the harbor, and there won't need too much dredging after that. So.
Yeah, through your worship to Councilor McNulty, yes, we would be looking at that again in more detail as we refine the detailed plans.
What was the Harbor Authority's comments on this?
Through your worship, we'll
Are we
be engaging them through stakeholders.
Okay, we haven't talked to them as a preliminary yet then.
Through your worship to Councilor McNulty, we've talked to them in a preliminary kind of high level, but we'll go into more details at this point.
All right, great report. Thank you very much.
Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Worship, and through you to staff, thank you for this report. In the short term, so between now and when this would get implemented, do we have enough protection for our heritage buildings, or do we need to do more work in the meantime on those areas?
Through your worship to Councilor Liu, some of the existing buildings are outside of the existing dike. So they're not.
Okay, but this new thing would then protect them, those buildings, but those buildings aren't protected until this gets built.
Your worship, correct.
Okay, and is this a short, sort of a midterm measure? Like, do we still have to raise everything at Britannia eventually in the long run as part of our diking strategy? So over 110 years, for example, are we still going to have to raise everything at Britannia or do something different?
Through your worship to Councilor Liu, no, this is a long-term plan that looks at the overall area in Steveston.
Okay.
So this is going to let us avoid having to make substantial changes at Britannia, right?
Your worship, correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, with that, let's call the question then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Brings us to the general local election, et cetera, et cetera. Claudia, are you going to speak to this?
Yes, Mayor Brody, I don't have anything further to add, but happy to answer questions.
All right, we'll ask for speakers. No, just a minute. We have speakers on that. Councillor Day.
The report was really detailed, and I appreciate the time that it must have taken to get all that information together for us. Obviously, it's completely embarrassing how low our voter turnout is, and so I think that we do need to address that issue. And what I noticed when I was reading the report is that there was only 998 mail-in ballots, and we spent a lot of time on that, and that's a lot of staff resources and money. And I would rather see that energy put into actually mailing out the voter guides with the voter cards. Because I feel that if you get them at the same time, people are going to be more motivated. Like, oh, I got my voter card. Great, I'll read this booklet. And I think it should be sent out to every voter because we know how much advertising costs. I mean, it's just prohibitive. It's so expensive. But that's something that's easier to swallow. I think it's going to be way more effective. And so I'd like to move that we mail what are they called? Booklet. What are they called? Voter guide. Yeah, voter guide out with the voter cards.
Well, I think that's something that we should contemplate for the next election. I'm not sure we would do that right now.
Why couldn't we prepare for that now?
Through the chair, if I can just, through the chair to Councillor Day, the challenge with amalgamating the mail out of the customized voter cards with the voter guide is that the production timeline for the voter cards is very different from the voter guides. The voter cards go to all the registered electors, and those have to be in the mail by the beginning of September, leading up to the October 15th election. The voter guide cannot be finalized until at least the third week of September because it's dictated by the candidate nomination period, the withdrawal deadline, and we really can't hit print until the election is declared, and that's all the deadlines that are set out in the provincial legislation. So it really, the two can't go together, and we don't want to delay sending out the voter cards because it does still take time for the voter cards to be received by all the registered electors in time for the first day of advance voting. And furthermore, the voter guides, they've been sent via neighborhood mail, and they go to all households. So whether one is registered or not, the voter guides are delivered to each household. The voter cards only are sent to those who are registered electors.
Okay, if we wanted to change that, we would have to do that at a provincial level then?
All the timelines that, start where the nomination period, that's all dictated by provincial legislation that we are bound to follow, yes.
Okay, so if we want to make an improvement, that's our first step then, is to write to the province and say that, given with 24.5% or whatever it was voter turnout, we feel strongly that we should mail this out at the same time, and can we adjust the dates so that is possible? Would that be helpful?
I think, again, the voter guides is noted in, that it's not a legally required document. It is an important brochure that we've put a lot of effort into, and that we make sure that every household receives in time for elections. And I think amalgamating the two would be quite challenging. Again, the voter cards are only sent out to registered electors and have to be sent out within a designated time to give voters enough time. Certainly, with the voter guides, we do also make them available on the website, so they are available to the public in electronic form in various languages as well. It really is meant to be an additional resource of information compared to the customized voter cards.
The voter cards, let's define this. They tell us that there's an election, where it is, where you're going to vote, that sort of thing, right?
Yes, that is correct.
There's no reference to any candidate. It's just this, there's an election for council, mayor, for school board.
That is correct, and then just outlines all the advanced voting opportunities. There is a reference on the voter cards to the mail ballot option for voting as well, but that's right, it's just stipulating the voting opportunities and where one has to vote on general voting day, because again, it's for voting divisions.
So it'll tell you what your division is and where you vote, based on your address.
That is correct.
All right, Councillor Glanders.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, great report. Thank you for all the work you did on this. My question is also about the voter guide. So I'm just wondering here, if it gets sent to every household, but even households that don't have registered voters, then perhaps we need to review that so that we can use our money effectively and send it to all the houses where people have voter cards. But I don't know if that's necessary, but just because all the neighborhoods didn't get it. So I don't know if that was a flaw in Canada Post or if there's something on our end that was done wrong, because I know people they asked all their neighbors, the entire street didn't get it. And I didn't get one at my house. And I know quite a few people who didn't. And I did hear frequently from people, I wish we knew more about the candidates. And we said, well, why was a voter guide sent out? And they said, well, I didn't get one. So they didn't get to everybody. I don't know why. So maybe there's something you could look into just to see what may have happened there. And yeah, just make sure that they do go out to everyone. Because you could send them, sorry, just to finish my thought, because since they get sent to every household, like you say, it goes in with the general mail, like the brochures kind of thing that people might just think of as junk mail because it doesn't have names on it. But I guess maybe we could save money and send it to the people who get the voter cards, so it has like a name label on it, and that way only people that are voters can get the guide, and that might save the money to make up for the extra administration of putting the name on it. So it's not just in the junk mail. So maybe you could just review that.
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, certainly as being sent as neighborhood address mail, it's much less expensive for the voter guides to be distributed to all the households. So in some cases, in some blocks that maybe didn't receive them, perhaps it was mixed up with all the other junk mail that does come. The only way, I think, to increase more of a guarantee for receipt of the voter guides, which I think should be sent to all households, not just those people who are registered, because we're trying to encourage additional people to register and raise awareness to all residents. It would be sending them via customized addressed mail, which would then mean quite an additional cost.
So maybe we could just look at what the additional cost would be and just work on that for the next time.
Councillor Al.
Okay. To follow up on this voters card issue, is the format of the voters card being regulated, or is being formed by the election BC? I mean, can we add some information saying maybe there's a line saying that referring to the voters guide that is coming and the website so that people can get into that, or is it the format is set so nothing can be put on?
Through the chair to Councillor Au, the design of the voter card is certainly in our, we have ability to add more information onto the voter cards, and we try and put in as much information as possible without being too busy, but we can certainly include reference to, as an alert that a further detailed voter guide will be coming to one's doorsteps shortly. So we can certainly provide a bit more additional information on the actual voter card itself.
Yes, yeah, I think that would be a good idea, right, so that people can make reference to the link. Now, my second question is, now this is a very good report, however, I did not see anything talking about complaints being received, the number of complaints or types of complaints. So where can we find those information?
Through the chair to Councillor Au, in all honesty, I mean, we did not receive through the election office any specific complaints. The voting went very smoothly at advanced voting. I mean, there were questions about people receiving voter cards and maybe they hadn't updated their elector registration information, so it was referencing an older address. General queries, we were busy with those, but in terms of specific complaints, we did not receive any. As mentioned in the report, voters were very appreciative and receptive to the COVID-related or communicable safety disease protocols that we implemented. We were a little bit worried that by that point there would have been fatigue settled into those type of requirements, but voters were really appreciative. Again, we did not receive any formal complaints.
Well, in that case, just a suggestion. I don't know if you can add some mentioning about there's been no complaint into the report. So this can be a draft, but next week coming to council, you may have to amend the report, or a memo attached to the report saying that the information you have given.
Weren't most of the, if there were complaints, weren't they probably directed to Elections BC?
Through your worship, I mean, most of if there were complaints, it was more about voter card information not being accurate, but that is again based on the voter themselves not updating their registration information. Certainly there were complaints that were received by the election office with regards to election signage, but those were then immediately forwarded to community bylaws to manage. But again, real formal complaints, no. I mean, I think in general, everything ran very smoothly.
Yeah, just a suggestion, if you can add it to the report saying that, the complaint situation is like this, I think that'd be good. Now, and the third question is, you mentioned that in the Lower Mainland, basically, the voters turnout has been down. So, are there any conversations with other cities? What lessons did they learn, anything that we can learn from them?
Through the Charter, Councillor Au, I haven't reached out to my counterparts yet, but that's certainly a conversation that we'll be having as we are closer towards planning for the next election. But we have not had those conversations at this point.
Okay, good, thank you. To follow the Chair, I have a suggestion, a motion, which is related to...
Tell us about it.
Okay. Now, while we are on the issue of the election, I'd like to draw your attention to some of the changes being proposed to the BC Election Act by the terms of government. So a press release was being issued on March the 2nd by the Ministry of Attorney General, and it talks about the changes that they're going to bring forward to the legislature. And in a nutshell, the main point of the changes are on the first page, the 3 bullets. Yes.
That's the one.
Right. So I just want to see if we can express our support of the changes to the proposed amendments. And I think this is very timely, so I just want to see.
All right, we can do that by, probably we would deal with what we've got on the floor, then we'll take a subsequent motion
Okay.
rising out of that.
Thank you.
Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple questions and comments on this. First one is, with the mail-in ballots, were we prepared for 7,000? Does that mean we had 7,000 packages printed, like ready to go?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we had enough supplies of all the various envelope sizing and all of the various instructional guides that would form the packages, because we would assemble the packages really quite late in September when we actually had the physical ballots delivered to us. So we did have supplies purchased in advance that would prepare us for a large uptake of mail ballots, yes.
Follow up then on that. Is much of that reusable and is stored until the next election?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, yes, it is, yes.
Thanks. My next question, is there anything planned different in regards to the mail-in ballots? One of the suggestions I've heard is that when people receive their voter card, there would be just a simple thing that they need to sign and drop in the mail, prepaid, and then the city would get that and then assemble those that are like requested within that time frame that we give them, just so then we're not waiting around with all these extra things we might have to assemble last minute. We'll know by the cutoff, and then it's, I don't know, is there something planned different for the mail-in?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, yes, in reference to the suggestions made in the on-table correspondence to somehow amalgamate the mail ballot request forms with the voter cards, I think it would be really challenging to combine those two processes. With the mail ballot process, and again, this sort of ties to the deadlines that are dictated on us from the legislation. We had the online mail ballot module open for people to request mail ballots right at the start of September. So we really wanted to get a feel for how many requests we would be managing. To send that out with the voter cards, I think that would create a delay in us hearing back from potential voters who would be interested in mail ballots, and we tried to make it as easy as possible with the mail ballot request process. And we did have voters who just chose not to go the online route and simply called our office, the call center, and we were able to walk them through and essentially apply on their behalf. And again, time was so tight with the mail ballot process because we really wanted to have the mail ballot packages pre-assembled and then waiting for the receipt of the actual ballot itself, and then mailing out as quickly as possible, because that timeline for voters to return to us via mail was very tight, and that's the timeline that unfortunately it's set in the legislation. So I think amalgamating the two processes, I would not recommend that.
Thanks. My next comment through the chair to staff is about the app, the mobile app with such low utilization. I'm shocked at that number. I know, I'm sure you were too. Only 300 users of it. I'm hoping that there is still value seen in that, and that we offer that service again. Because I thought it was such a great tool to be able to walk up election day and you can get all the information right there as you're waiting in line to get in. It's not the best information to rely your vote on, but it's would have satisfied all the people who said they couldn't vote because they didn't know who to vote for. It's just too easy, it seems. So my final comments, just if what staff's take is, are on the need to draw out voters. Could it be a a referendum question, and maybe not like the biggest infrastructure project, putting it to the voters, but something that's a question that draws people out for what's the theme of this year's free summer concert or something, or something that people who vote can then come and contribute to something else. Another thought is maybe when they get their stickers saying, voter, I voted today, or whatever it is, maybe we hand out or let people pick a free pool day pass or a free skate pass, just something for people who are taking the time to come out there. I know we can't record who they are and send it to them electronically, but if they could pick it up from the table, one day access to one of our facilities, maybe that's an incentive that might get a few more people out when they know that we're trying to do something more than the status quo. And then my other thought was, and you can comment on it, organizing or having a committee struck. I know council has advisory committees as dictated by the mayor, the name of them, but maybe we have a temporary one. I don't know if we've done that before, but maybe we have a temporary citizens assembly advisory committee, not an ongoing thing. We don't need all the wording behind its composition and all that stuff about it, but just who's interested, who can contribute some great ideas, and let's take those ideas a year from now and try and implement them in time for the next election. So do you have any comments on the referendum type question, incentives, or this committee we could form?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, in terms of having a public referendum question on the actual ballot, that really would be a council decision. But certainly in the area of public engagement, public outreach, I think there's a lot of good opportunities there. Certainly, there's been research done about voter turnout. It's really complex. There's a multitude of reasons why people vote, why they don't vote. There is interesting research that has shown that at the local level, people vote less than at their provincial, federal levels, and that's interesting. There's something there where perhaps more public outreach may be beneficial.
All right, Councillor Day.
Yeah, I'd like to move the motion, but with an amendment that we direct staff to
Sorry, with an amendment?
amendment to the motion to accept this from.
Just a minute. So- Okay, just a minute. Hang on a sec. Just hang on a sec. Okay, I think, okay, you're on.
So the motion is to receive this for information, but I'd like to add that we direct staff to add reference to the voter's guide on the voter card. I think that Councillor Au's idea is brilliant. I mean, then they'll look for it, because it's on the voter card. When I went to various events, I was surprised how many people came in with that little booklet, and they had their notes all scribbled, and, they were really trying hard to understand what everybody stood for. And I think it's a really underutilized guide, and it's so well done, with the picture and then the
Okay,
short
I
thing.
want to clarify what exactly you're saying.
So-
That what is to be amended?
Direct staff to add reference to the voter guide on the voter card.
Just a minute, on the voter card.
Yeah.
But isn't the wording, aren't we told what to put on that voter's card?
Yeah, it's elections, BC.
Councillor Out as a
I am asking staff.
For the voter card, while we do have to specify the voting opportunities, the dates, locations, and the location that one has to vote on general voting day, we can put a little bit more information, like reference to the election website, where additional information can be obtained. We've included the contact information for the election office. So there is a little bit of space where we could add a bit more information.
And what would it say if you got that direction? Or would you bring it back to us?
Certainly, I think when we report in the future for our advanced planning for the next election, we can address some of the issues that were raised today and include those in the report for council
All
to
right.
consider.
So my suggestion is simply, we'll leave that as a direction to staff. We'll see the wording in due course. It doesn't need to be in the motion. It is a direction. So if I can have a motion just to receive this for information.
What's the timeline to see that revised voter card text?
Before the next election.
well, we're going to forget in 4 years. That's, you know.
No, staff has the direction. All right, so is it seconded? Receive. Okay, and we're going to go back to Councillor Howe in a minute. But I just want to add, I mean, the voter turnout was really terrible. Other cities, it was even worse. Whatever is happening, I'm happy with change the words on the voter card or whatever. Yeah, it's okay. But I don't think that's going to increase the turnout somehow. And I don't think that we can offer incentives for people to come and vote. You come and vote, we're going to give you a voucher for, which is worth $250 to go to one of our arenas, can we?
You're buying votes.
Aren't we buying,
You're buying votes.
giving financial incentive for people to vote?
That is correct, Your Worship, yes.
So I don't think we can do that. I'm also on this idea of a referendum, you know, we've got serious questions to ask. We have serious questions to ask of the public. They can be financial questions if capital financing is involved, or they could be, you know, in Surrey, they should have put a question on, do you want the RCMP or the Surrey Police Service, you know, that kind of thing. But I don't want to put a marginal question, just a marginal question on there. If we're going to have a referendum, let's have a real referendum. And I agree, that kind of a thing could increase turnout, but not if it's just a marginal question. So with that, I'm going to call the question on receiving this for information. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. Now, we'll go, if you want to push your button there, we'll go back to Councillor Howe. Go ahead, Councillor Howe.
Yes, Your Worship. As I mentioned earlier, I'd like to bring your attention to this document that the announcement by the provincial government regarding amendments to the Election Acts. And secondly, I want to further that to move a motion that we, as a City Council, express our support of the directions and the changes that the provincial government is making. Now, as I mentioned, the 3 main points of the changes is listed on page 1 of this document, saying that the proposed amendments include placing restrictions on intentionally making false statements about objective biographical information about candidates and senior officials of political parties. Second, cracking down on the spread of deliberate disinformation about the electoral process, such as including disinformation about voting eligibility, dates, times, and locations. And finally, streamlining the vote by mail process to make it more accessible for people. So I think those changes should be supported, as this is going to be making the election more transparent and also trying to limit any misinformation to be affecting the people.
So as I understand, what your motion is, that you want to send a letter to the province stating that Richmond City Council supports the proposed amendments as set out in this, whatever it is, as set out in this announcement.
Yes.
So 3 points.
Yes.
Okay, so that's moved. Is it seconded? Okay, it's moved and seconded. Go ahead, Councillor. Did you have further comments?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'll support that, but, I think we're in different times, and I do on this. What are false statements? We do now have third-party advertising. We have a whole binder from Elections BC on third-party advertising. We already have it in there, what you can do, what you can't do. But anyhow, I'm going to support it because I think anytime you can get some new ideas, it's all good. But just what is the definition of a false statement? And what are examples? Do they exist now? I just saw this first time, and I thank you for bringing it forward. But I have some questions. We all tend to be experts in what we're doing because we're candidates, and we know probably more than somebody sitting in the sideline. And what are the consequences? So in the next election, I'm going to say, vote one only, vote for me. Don't vote for anybody else. One vote only, okay? We already have that, okay? Vote one, okay? So my question is that disinformation? Don't vote for Bill's party, vote for Carol's party, you know? What is it? So I think we should also ask for clearer definitions in what we're doing, Jack, on it. I think the intent is good, but I think we need more information. I don't know who put this out, whether it came from government or whatever. So I guess my question is, what is it? Streamlining the voting process for mail-in? Yeah, I think it's great. We had 7,000 packages ready to go. Wasn't even used. But, okay, we were ready. Staff did a magnificent job. One of the things, I didn't say it in the last, I think we should be commending our staff for the job that was done in this election, with all the things that were done and all the opportunities we gave the public in order to cast their ballot. If they choose not to, that was their democratic right. Okay? Yes, I'd like them to more to come out and a bigger thing, and we can make some cosmetic changes to our process, but we can't blame our process for the turnout. Maybe that, but so I guess, Your Worship, cracking down. What does that mean?
Well,
Is it a fine? I mean, Elections BC has some pretty stringent guidelines for those that have read third-party advertising, what we have to do, what we have to report. Every time you spend something, no matter what it is, you're supposed to declare it. Whether everybody declares it or not is another issue. But you're supposed to, and if they ever check on you, it can lead to disqualification. There is a consequence for it. And I think we've seen that happen before. So anyhow, I think it's a great and the right thing. Maybe check wherever you got this, we can get staff to look into, try to get further information. I think it's a positive step in the right direction. But it says it will fight disinformation, but more elections, more accessible. Okay, well, I hope so.
I think Councillor McNulty makes a good point when he says that this is really just 3 bullets. Now, the answer is it's going to come in the form of regulations. So I think, may I suggest for your motion, it should be, we support it in principle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I think it'd be good.
and secondly, on the example that was used, saying that you can only vote for one person. Well, if you tell someone that you can only vote for one person, then you're deliberately misinforming about the electoral process. Okay, so that would be included.
But people can say, can I vote only one?
Okay, well, and the answer is yes. Yes, and so that's not contravening these principles.
I'm just trying to play the devil here
Okay.
to get further. And the other thing is to get further information, support in principle, and keep us apprised and as we go along. Good
We'll
job.
get more.
Thank you.
Councillor Hobbs, Andy?
Thanks, and through the chair. Councillor McNulty made a lot of good points there, so I won't repeat all of that. But this does just say the amendments include, so the 3 bullets are there. So I don't know what else that includes. Having something given to me 2 minutes, before and kind of reviewing it quickly, I mean, on the face of it, I don't have any strong objections to it, and I might support the whole thing, but I just don't see it as time sensitive. So I don't know why we'd endorse anything, and perhaps in principle is a little bit more maneuverable, but I won't be voting for it right now because I'd like to receive things with a bit of notice and then be able to think about it and read it a couple times. So I do want to just comment on a couple other comments too, and I think they were good comments about staff and the effort that the city put into the last election, which ties into this a bit. And I too want to echo that I thought a lot of work, a lot of effort went in. I was disappointed with the turnout, but I don't think that can be attributed to any lack of effort or publicity or work on the part of the city and staff. I was really impressed with it. With this, I wouldn't be supporting it today. I'd like a little bit more notice on things, and I just looked at this for the first time. Thank you.
All right, well, listen, let's review the rules. This just came in front of you today. There was no advance notice of this, and obviously it happened because just of the timing of the release. It is the prerogative of anybody at a meeting where something comes to you without the due notice, you can call for a notice of motion. So in this case, you can either call for a notice of motion, and that would put it to the next GP 2 weeks from now. I don't think that would be a crushing blow to it. The other alternative is to support or not support it, just let it go, understanding that it will go to council next week, so you have that period of time. So, Councillor Hobbs, which would you like to do? Do you want to call for a notice of motion? Oh, Jesus. How do I turn his mic on? Okay.
Thank
There
you,
you go.
and through the chair. Oh, thanks for that explanation, and I think, considering your explanation, let it go through. I'll vote to support it, and it can go to council.
Okay,
Thanks for that
fair
explanation.
enough. Councillor Heat.
Yeah, I'm going to go on record not to support this, and I think what Councillor McNulty said, what Councillor Hobbs said, I absolutely agree with, but I want to make a couple of comments. We've got such a bright light shining on our whole electoral system here in Canada, not just municipally, but certainly provincially and federally. You just have to look at the media coverage, the ridiculousness of this, saying that we had this foreign influence and that's what happened in our process. I'm not doing any work for the province on this particular thing. These 3 points, yeah, I could agree with some of them. On the mail-in ballot, they're going to have to do their work on this. So I can tell you from my point of view, the democracy has been in place for hundreds and hundreds of years. It continued to be in place. People are going to vote whichever way they want to vote. Whatever way you want to get your message out on voters to support you, you've got a right to do this. But certainly I'd be one for example, on the voter's card, yeah, just a website or something like that. Nothing related to some type of publication that may or may not be true regarding a particular candidate or not. So I can't support anything such as this, and especially when we don't talk about consequences. There's severe consequences the way the Election Act in BC is right now. If you disregard some of the rules on that, we have no idea what the consequences are going to be for some of this. So I'm not supporting this, and I'm reluctant to do any work for the provincial government on this.
Thank you. Councillor Gil-Anderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship. I feel similarly to Councillor Heed and Councillor McNulty, although there's some differences there. I'm not as passionate about it, but I just feel like I did just get this, and I'm like, why is this coming out right now? It's probably coming out to sort of distract everybody from the foreign interference talk and saying, look, we're doing something. So that they're doing what they're doing. Elections BC is doing what they're doing to look positive, and I don't think we need to write a letter saying that we support them. I think that's their job to do that, and why are we getting involved? And it's just, I don't really, like, this will fight disinformation, but then the disinformation is about the electoral process, including information about eligibility, dates, times, and locations. It's like, it's quite dry. I don't really see, I would need to see the whole thing. Like, not just the 3 bullets that are here. I want to see all their amendments and have a chance to review them if I'm going to endorse what they're doing. This isn't enough information, but I do appreciate it in principle, but I'm not going to support it.
Councillor Day.
Yeah, I think the key here is to look at it. The first word is proposed amendments. This isn't etched in stone. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of consultation. Secondly, this will go to council next Monday, a week from now, at 7 o'clock. So at that point, we can choose to vote for it after we've done our due diligence or not vote for it. So I don't have any problem with putting this through. I'm really pleased that another level of government is finally willing to do something about some of the nonsense that goes on social media. And we've all been victim of it. It's awful when you read on Facebook or whatever that you're A, B, or C, and it's couldn't be further from the truth. And then you spend the next 2 weeks of your election time trying to correct this misinformation. So I think that it's going in the right direction. I agree with Councillor Galanders that I want to know a lot more about this, but pushing this through at this point, I have no problem with. And in fact, I would love to see it go to the next level. If someone goes out there and intentionally lies about another candidate, they should be disqualified as an elected official, and the next person in line should jump in their seat, because it's not right that you spend weeks on end trying to deal with so much misinformation, and there's no consequences. People do it again and again and again. We've seen it for so many elections. It's completely out of control, and I'm done with it. I think it's just the immoral thing to do. So yeah, I'll support this, and we'll do my due diligence between now and next Monday, and maybe we'll have some suggestions to add to these bullets, because like I said, I'd like to see this go to the next level and actually give the provincial government some teeth that they can make penalties that will make people be honest and not slander people on social media.
All right, thank you. From my point of view, I'm going to support these. It's simply saying we support these ideas in principle. I agree with the comments that there's a great deal of information, definitional information, consequences and penalties, the details of how it's going to work, just set it out exactly what the province has in mind. But the question is, by supporting it in principle, you're saying, to my mind, we agree with this direction. I think that would help. Let's see the full version of it. And maybe we find that it's unpalatable when we see the full version. But this is something that certainly involves all of us, all of the elected people, and those people seeking office. So I'm going to support it. Councillor Rao, to wrap up.
Yeah, I just want to add that this is not something that come out of the blue. If you look at the bottom of the page 1, actually there were 2 reports being completed by the election BC officers. So in 2020 and 2022, they're already talking about this kind of changes because they already see the loopholes in the act, and that's why, especially in the area of social media, so they want to tighten up the loopholes, and also some of the concerns about definition, the consequences, they are there. So this is not something just on paper. This is something with some teeth. So I think this is the right direction, and I think we should indicate to this provincial government that we support it. Well, we are not doing the job for them. We're just saying that this is something that we can support.
And I would suggest that we would put in the motion that we support and put those 3 specific bullets in there. So there could be all kinds of things that we don't agree with in these memos. And so it wouldn't include those, just those 3 bullets.
Sure.
All right, with that, I'm going to
Support in principle, correct?
support in principle, confirming our support in principle of the proposed amendments as announced, et cetera, specifically blah, blah, blah. 3 points. Okay, so. Oh, so she does. Sorry, Alexis. Sorry, I didn't see it. Go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, I'm going to have to vote against it because I don't have a copy of it, so I don't see what you're talking about. But if it is retroactive for candidates who have spread lies or made things up about other candidates, I'm fully in support of it.
I wouldn't hold our breath on that. But yeah, sorry you didn't get a copy of this. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? It's carried with Councillors Heed, Galanders, and Liu opposed. All right, someone move adjournment?
Move adjournment.
All right.